With all the unrest about immigration in the US right now, I think it's important for us to be telling true stories to one another about specific people who have immigrated to the US and enriched our lives in one way or another so that we don't forget who we're talking about when we're discussing immigration as an issue of public concern. So I'm going to tell you a story about a man named Jose, and I invite you to share similar stories that this one might prompt for you. Maybe we can call these stories Neighbors from Afar or something like that. Before I tell my story about Jose, though, maybe a quick word about why stories or testimonies like this are relevant to something that is the law. Laws don't always specify how they should be enforced or what price people should pay who are in violation of them. And stories or testimonies can help us to make good judgments about that kind of thing. If we're honest, I think we'll admit too that in the history of the US, there have been a lot of laws that are no longer on the books or that have been changed in terms of how they're enforced or all kinds of specifics about them, because it turns out that they were not serving the society very well and were not true to people's lives. And that came to light and led to a change in how a law was interpreted, how it was enforced, or even to new laws that replaced it. And I should probably say I come to this as a Bible teacher at a Christian seminary. That's what I do for a living. And in the Bible, rules or laws for a society are always set alongside stories of people that help us understand what those laws are for, how they should or shouldn't be enforced, and maybe even when those laws need to be changed. There's a relatively well-known example of this with the daughters of Zelophehad. You might look that up in the book of Numbers, whose situation invited God to change the laws that God had given for the people. So my story about Jose, it begins with me standing alongside the track of my high school in Santa Clarita, California, in the northern part of the greater Los Angeles area. And my teammates and I, cross-country teammates, we're like standing there watching the last gym class of the day do their sort of obligatory one lap around the track. And we started to notice day after day that there was this one kid who was just tearing it up on the track, just way out in front of the class and just cruising. And so, of course, eventually it occurred to us that we should try to figure out how to get this kid on the team. And we approached this kid and soon learned that this kid's name was Jose. He had come to the United States recently with his family, did not have documents. They had not sort of won the lottery, which is what you have to do basically to get into the U.S. legally, with the caps that are placed on immigration and also with the other obstacles that just make it very difficult for people like Jose to come into the U.S. legally, even if they wanted to. In Jose's case, they were fleeing some really difficult conditions for their life in Mexico and trying to find a safe way to live, a way to provide for their family, both here in the U.S. and back in Mexico as well. Well, soon we learned that Jose was indeed a really fast runner as he started practicing with the team, but also that he was not going to be able to compete because he was not academically eligible. He's doing poorly in all of his classes because he didn't speak English, and there wasn't a lot of support for students like him in those days. So my coach, Coach Gene, asked me if I might see if I could do something to help Jose pass his classes so that he could help us on the team, because we needed him so badly. And I had no idea what that was going to lead to. I mean, I was able to help Jose with his classes to stay eligible, but Jose opened his entire life to me, so that for the next 3 years, I found myself again and again around the table at Jose's house with his family, other members of his community. He was also in my house, often around the table with my family. We were running miles and miles together every day. We ended up traveling together with the cross-country team. And over those years, we became really good friends. And also, I became fluent in Spanish because of all that time that I spent with Jose and his family. Fluent enough even to go on to be a court interpreter when I started college, a Spanish-English interpreter in the criminal justice system, and then to go on to work in Spain, and then to come back here to the Los Angeles area to teach Spanish language and English language students at this seminary where I work. All thanks to the generosity of Jose to invite me into his family's life and to share their language with me. So I'm really thankful today that Jose was not rounded up, as some of my neighbors have been in recent days, from his school, or had his parents hauled off from a commencement ceremony, or have him taken away while he was waiting for work. One day, as some workers here were in Pasadena recently waiting to do some work in the homes that were damaged by the fire. Instead, Jose was able to live out his life in relative peace in my high school and beyond. And so I just want to express how important his life has been to me, and maybe now say to Jose, quiero expresar mi profunda gratitud, José, por tu vida, por la hospitalidad de tu familia, por compartir tu cultura, tu vida conmigo cuando no tenías que haberlo hecho. Y espero que nuestra sociedad pueda crecer para atesorar una vida como la tuya, igual que Dios la atesora.